create a digital twin of the Earth. AI in a box, and it contains an incredible amount of software.
NVIDIA's RTX 4060 Ti launch has sparked discontent due to high prices and limited availability, with experts noting a lack of enthusiasm among partners. This minimal improvement strategy raises concerns about NVIDIA's aggressive practices, particularly its restrictions on partner innovations with Intel. Are these controlling tactics risking NVIDIA's industry relationships? Join us as they explore the potential impact on NVIDIA's market position, the rumored exit of EVGA and its impact. As these rumors spread online, EVGA fans and users became anxious, wondering how it might affect their tech setups. The speculation grew when well-known tech YouTubers hinted that EVGA might be closing. For instance, during a tech review show, it was mentioned that after buying an EVGA power supply for a review, the product was out of stock by the time filming finished. This was noted across all of EVGA's products, which seemed to be selling at clearance prices for months, adding more weight to the rumors of a company-wide shutdown. Amidst the growing concerns, EVGA Spain stepped in to clear things up. They dismissed the Friday rumors as just a misunderstanding. Soon after, EVGA's main office made an official statement saying that their Taiwan office was still running and that Kingpin, a notable figure in the company, was still part of the team. They reassured everyone that EVGA was continuing its business as usual and was committed to supporting its customers. This reassurance brought some relief, but it didn't completely calm the worries of the tech community. The initial impact of the rumors had already stirred a lot of discussion and concern. People started sharing their favorite memories with EVGA products online, reflecting on the potential loss of such a significant player in the tech industry. NVIDIA is causing quite a bit of frustration among its partners with its latest graphics card release. The new RTX 4060 Ti will soon have a 16GB version, something we talked about last week. But the latest details reveal limited availability and high prices, which are making many people unhappy. For example, the RTX 4060 Ti 16GB Strix Edition is priced higher than the RTX 4070, which is surprising and frustrating for many. Andre, a well-known figure in the tech world, shared some insights after talking with NVIDIA's partners. It seems there's not much excitement about the new 16GB version of the 4060 Ti. There are fewer models available than the standard version, and the pricing is almost as high as the RTX 4070. This could be NVIDIA's way of addressing complaints that 8 GB of memory isn't enough for today's needs. And the critics are right. More memory is usually better for advanced graphics tasks. But this wasn't the worst part. The way NVIDIA introduced this new model hasn't gone over well. The 4060 Ti offers a slight upgrade in memory, but doesn't improve other important features like memory bandwidth, which is still lower than older models like the 3060. This seems to be NVIDIA's usual strategy, offering what looks like an improvement, but with limitations that don't fully meet users' needs or expectations. This has led to NVIDIA's partners not being very interested in stocking and selling the new model. They think it might just end up sitting on shelves, unattractive to buyers because of its high price and awkward positioning. This lack of interest from partners highlights a bigger issue with NVIDIA's strategy. It shows a gap between what NVIDIA wants to sell and what the market actually wants. The tensions are high as partners struggle with selling a product that may not meet consumers' expectations in terms of price versus performance. This dissatisfaction points to deeper problems in NVIDIA's strategy, which could affect long-term relationships with those who sell their products. As the release date gets closer, the tech community is watching closely to see how this situation plays out and what it means for the future of NVIDIA's products in a very competitive market. NVIDIA is in the middle of some heated discussions in the tech world. It's alleged that they're pressuring their partners to avoid working with Intel on new GPUs. People say NVIDIA wants to make sure their graphics cards are seen as the best option in the market. They are reportedly telling their partners that any tech developed for NVIDIA GPUs should not be used in Intel's products. Essentially, they're saying to either create entirely new products for Intel that don't compete with NVIDIA's top offerings or not partner with Intel at all. Amidst the growing concerns, This approach is similar to what NVIDIA did in the past with the GeForce Partner Program in 2018. Back then, NVIDIA made it clear that partners who wanted to use their top gaming GPU labels could only do so with NVIDIA's products, not AMD's. That move was more openly communicated and well documented compared to the current rumors, which seemed to be happening behind the scenes. The impact of these actions could be significant. If companies like Gigabyte, MSI, and Asus go along with NVIDIA's demands and don't make GPUs for Intel, it could lead to less competition in the tech market. This could limit choices for consumers and make the market more favorable to NVIDIA, giving them more power. Such a monopoly could stifle innovation and keep prices high for consumers, who would have fewer alternatives. At the same time, AMD, another major player in the graphics card industry, is now focusing more on gaming consoles instead of competing directly in the PC GPU market. This shift has allowed NVIDIA to dominate the PC graphics market, especially in areas like artificial intelligence, where they are making significant revenues. But this wasn't the only twist. Intel, on the other hand, is trying to make its mark in the GPU market. As the underdog, any partnership with major manufacturers like Asus or MSI could be crucial for Intel. It would not only boost their standing in the industry, but also promote more competition, which typically leads to better products and more reasonable prices for consumers. The tech industry is at a crossroads. If NVIDIA's alleged pressure tactics are true and work, it could lead to a less competitive market, which isn't good for innovation or consumer choice. On the other hand, supporting Intel in its GPU efforts could bring new energy and innovation to the industry, benefiting everyone from everyday users to hardcore gamers. This ongoing situation leaves the tech community and consumers watching closely, eager to see how these corporate moves will play out and what they mean for the future of tech competition. Let's see how NVIDIA is changing the game with its advanced computing technologies. The dawn of accelerated computing. NVIDIA's quantum leap in AI, accelerated computing, and artificial intelligence are changing our world in big ways, representing some of the most important technological advances of our time. This journey started 60 years ago with the IBM System 360, which laid the foundation for modern computing. But as the need for computing power has skyrocketed, traditional processors have struggled to keep up. This growing gap in performance threatens to increase costs and energy use across all industries. NVIDIA has stepped in with its accelerated computing solutions, which have been developed for over 20 years, offering a solution to this pressing need. NVIDIA's work has changed the computing landscape, allowing us to meet the high demands for processing power. They compare their accelerated computing platforms to a time machine for today's brightest minds, like tools for the modern Da Vinci's and Einsteins. This huge leap in technology has led to the rise of generative AI, a field where NVIDIA has invested billions over more than 10 years. They have created what they call intelligence factories, or supercomputers, that produce digital intelligence much like factories produce goods. Moreover, these advancements are not just technical achievements. They are paving the way for a new kind of industrial revolution. NVIDIA's AI factories aim to mass-produce digital intelligence, with countries and companies worldwide racing to build these NVIDIA-powered setups. The goal is to turn intelligence, in the form of digital tokens, into a commodity that can drive new revenue streams across a global market worth trillions. As generative AI becomes more important, every part of computing, from hardware to software, is being reinvented. Traditional programming, where instructions were written out explicitly, is being replaced by models that respond to our intentions. This shift means you can now tell a computer what you want, and it will figure out how to do it, dramatically changing how software is developed and what it can achieve. But this wasn't the end of it. NVIDIA's financial reports show a huge 126% increase in revenue, reaching a record $60.9 billion. Their Hopper architecture products are in high demand, and its successor, Blackwell, is quickly gaining popularity. This could make it the most successful product in NVIDIA's history, and possibly in the history of computing. Even sectors like gaming, professional visualization, and automotive are seeing significant revenue increases. showing the widespread impact of these technologies. On the technical side, NVIDIA's CUDA, a parallel computing model, is at the heart of this revolution. With over 300 libraries, 600 AI models, numerous SDKs, and support for 3,700 GPU-accelerated applications, CUDA has created a rich ecosystem. This platform has attracted more than 5 million developers and 40,000 companies, including thousands of generative AI startups. This growth shows the vast scale and rapid adoption of NVIDIA's computing innovations, although it has taken over 2 decades to reach this point. Applications are being rewritten to use this new architecture, incorporating complex algorithms from NVIDIA's CUDA libraries. For example, CNN, a deep learning library within CUDA, optimizes neural network computations. AIL speeds up 5G radio access network functions, moving the telecom industry toward a software-defined and AI-driven future. Another library, Hulitha, tackles the computational challenges in lithography, a critical step in chip manufacturing. Moreover, accelerated computing is making significant progress in healthcare, changing areas like drug discovery, surgery, medical imaging, and patient care. Partners like Amgen, Genentech, Johnson & Johnson, Medtronic, and many startups are transforming healthcare into one of the world's largest tech-driven industries. One great example of NVIDIA's amazing technology is the Parabricks CUDA library. This tool has completely changed gene sequencing by making the process of aligning and finding gene variants much faster. It achieves the highest speed in gene sequencing, showing how NVIDIA's innovations are pushing the field of genetics forward. Meanwhile, in climate science, NVIDIA's core powers Earth-2, a digital model that simulates Earth's weather and climate systems. This model improves weather predictions with 12 times higher resolution, going from 25 kilometers down to just 2 kilometers, and is 3,000 times more energy efficient than traditional methods. Additionally, NVIDIA believes that accelerated computing is sustainable computing. They say that all applications that can be accelerated should be, because this not only increases efficiency, but also opens new markets and growth opportunities for NVIDIA and its partners. Their push for modern data centers with accelerated computing is clear in their latest launches, which includes some of the most important products in NVIDIA's history, like the Blackwell GPU. This GPU is designed for handling very large generative AI tasks and is a big improvement over older versions. The Blackwell GPU, along with NVIDIA's 4th and 5th generation NVLink, can connect up to 576 Blackwell GPUs into one super GPU. This is a huge jump from the 8 Hopper GPUs in previous setups. This new ability cuts down the resources needed for training large language models, requiring just a quarter of the GPUs and energy that were needed before. This means lower costs and much less energy use, making it 25 times more efficient when running advanced AI models. But this wasn't the end of the story. NVIDIA's strategy isn't just about the hardware. It includes a complete AI factory setup. This combines Blackwell GPUs, NVLink, Grace CPUs, Quantum, and Spectrum X switches with a full software system and data center partnerships. This platform is quickly being adopted by all the major cloud service providers and server makers, including big names like Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI, Tesla, and xAI. NVIDIA is also changing how AI models are shared, introducing NVIDIA Inference Microservices. These microservices make generative AI run on CUDA across different environments, from cloud systems to on-site data centers, making powerful AI tools more available. The RTX AIP PCS and a large network of partners help distribute these capabilities, combining CUDA libraries, optimized inference engines, and industry-standard APIs into ready-to-use AI solutions. This AI-in-a-box approach is designed for easy use, helping businesses in many industries to become AI-driven. Companies like Adobe, Cadence, CrowdStrike, Getty Images, SAP, ServiceNow, and Shutterstock are some of the first to use NIMs, integrating these technologies into their work. In healthcare, NIMs are powering key models in drug discovery, medical imaging, and genomics, showing their wide range of uses. The next big step for AI is expected to automate operations in heavy industries, worth $50 trillion, with robot factories managing robots that build more robots and robotic products. NVIDIA has created the Omniverse platform, a groundbreaking virtual world simulation space where developers can create robotic systems and where industrial companies can design, integrate, simulate, and operate digital twins of their robotic systems, factories, and products, bridging the gap between the physical and digital worlds in new ways. Next, we explore how NVIDIA's Omniverse is reshaping the way industries operate. NVIDIA's Omniverse revolutionizes manufacturing. NVIDIA's Omniverse is changing the game with a new open standard format for scene descriptions, making it easy to use the best tools from design to manufacturing. This innovation lets companies create detailed digital twins, optimizing the entire production process. Self-driving cars, which are essentially robots, are early adopters of this technology. The automotive industry has quickly embraced the NVIDIA Omniverse, using it to digitize everything from design and building to simulation and operation, and even to virtually experience factories and cars. As the world enters a new era of manufacturing, thousands of companies, both new and established, are building robots and robotic systems. These companies run two types of factories, one for making the physical robots and another as an AI factory to create the intelligence that powers them. The combination of generative AI and robotics is not only creating new growth opportunities, but also driving record levels of productivity across the $50 trillion manufacturing industries. Furthermore, this surge marks the start of the next industrial revolution, where AI factories produce what can be called tokens of digital intelligence. These tokens are setting the stage for generative AI to grow into a multi-trillion-dollar industry, ready to transform every sector. The rise of sovereign AI in countries like Japan, Canada, and France highlights the global recognition of the importance of developing AI that reflects each nation's unique language and culture. Just over a decade ago, the AlexNet, which ran on two NVIDIA GTX 580 GPUs, sparked the modern AI revolution. Now, the full transformative potential of these technologies is becoming clear. The journey of deep learning, from its early days to its current expansive scale, has been nothing short of revolutionary. It is important to acknowledge the many researchers, scientists, developers, ecosystem partners, customers, and employees who have been part of this journey from the beginning. Over a decade ago, NVIDIA saw a new horizon in deep learning and decided to fully commit, reinventing everything from GPUs to interconnects, systems, networking, and software. NVIDIA invested billions into this venture, advancing into new technological territories. Teams of thousands of engineers spent a decade scaling deep learning technologies, turning NVIDIA into a leader in AI systems and platforms. Today, NVIDIA continues to lead the frontier in AI and accelerated computing. NVIDIA's edge in this competitive field comes from their deep expertise, vast scale, and rapid pace, allowing them to develop the most advanced, fully optimized AI computing systems. These systems open new markets and attract developers from all over the world, offering unmatched value to customers. NVIDIA ensures the lowest total cost of ownership with exceptional performance across every layer, from chips and systems to software and algorithms. Their platform is accessible through every major cloud provider and computer maker, creating a vast and valuable base for developers and customers alike. But this wasn't the worst part. NVIDIA has created a self-sustaining cycle of innovation and adoption. Looking ahead, particularly in emerging fields like quantum computing, practical applications may still be decades away. However, NVIDIA is already laying the groundwork with NVIDIA CUDA Quantum. This platform supports quantum computing researchers and algorithm developers, focusing on everything from quantum algorithm development to the design of higher fidelity qubits and new error correction techniques. Despite the uncertainty in quantum technology and which qubit technology will prevail, NVIDIA's role is clear. They are building the essential platforms for all future quantum computers. NVIDIA is not just a computing company, but a multi-industry platform, addressing sectors from healthcare to automotive, financial services, energy, retail, gaming, and more. Their combination of hardware systems and domain-specific software stacks supported by a rich ecosystem of partners and developers, is sparking what may be the next industrial revolution. But this wasn't the only part. In healthcare, innovations in AI are revolutionizing drug discovery. For the first time, it is possible to computationally understand and represent the complex languages of biology and chemistry, paving the way for computer-aided drug discovery. This will make the pharmaceutical industry more efficient and effective in creating targeted treatments. NVIDIA's Beyond Nemo generative AI platform and Parabricks software for genomics are just a few examples of how they're making these advancements possible. NVIDIA is collaborating with industry leaders like Amgen, Genentech, and Recursion, who are making rapid progress using their platform. Beyond healthcare, NVIDIA's impact stretches across automotive and digital manufacturing, some of the largest industries they serve. The potential for impact here is immense, reflecting the vast scope of their operations. NVIDIA also leads in addressing semiconductor supply chain challenges by ensuring flexibility and redundancy in their supply chains. They secure multiple suppliers for components and enter long-term agreements to ensure a stable supply for their customers. In terms of AI safety and ethics, NVIDIA is at the forefront, participating in major safety and ethical standards initiatives in the US, EU, and UK. They are helping shape the guidelines that will govern AI applications for generations. Now let's discuss how NVIDIA's dominance impacts its partnerships in the tech industry. Tensions rise as NVIDIA's market tactics come under fire. Recently, NVIDIA captured headlines by becoming the world's most valuable company, even surpassing giants like Microsoft and Apple in market capitalization. This monumental achievement, however, has sparked intense discussions about NVIDIA's business practices, particularly in how it interacts with its enterprise customers and partners. When reports emerged suggesting that NVIDIA might be leveraging its newfound clout to exert pressure on partners like Dell, HP Enterprise, and Supermicro, the alleged pressure revolves around NVIDIA wanting these companies to buy complete server rack designs directly from them, starting with their new GB200 model. This move could potentially strip these companies of the profits they usually earn from designing their own racks, a strategy that might increase NVIDIA's profits but decrease their partners. We have heard of NVIDIA's aggressive tactics before. The same strategies that have driven NVIDIA to the top are now under scrutiny for how they impact partners. For example, EVGA, a long-standing partner, recently exited the GPU business. Many speculate that NVIDIA's practices over the years, which involve slowly increasing their control and financial take from every project, left little on the table for EVGA, pushing them out of the market. This pattern of behavior isn't hidden. Even when confronted directly, NVIDIA's response has been less than conciliatory. In interactions where I personally addressed these issues with NVIDIA representatives, even during times when they sponsored us, I've told them frankly that they are some of the most challenging partners I've ever worked with. Despite their significant financial success, their approach to partnerships can be incredibly stringent and sometimes seems unyielding. These tactics might make good business sense from NVIDIA's perspective, aiming to maximize every possible revenue stream from their innovations and technologies. However, they raise questions about the sustainability of such relationships and whether this might lead to a reduction in the number and quality of NVIDIA's partnerships in the long run. As NVIDIA steps into this new role as a top market leader, the tech industry watches closely. Will they adjust their approach to foster better relationships with their partners? Or will they continue down a path that could potentially isolate them? Furthermore, the impact of these practices goes beyond just the partners and into the broader tech ecosystem. The fear is that NVIDIA's dominance and unilateral decisions could stifle innovation by discouraging partners from investing in their own solutions, which in turn could lead to less diversity in technology advancements. This situation puts a spotlight on the balance between being a market leader and a responsible corporate entity that supports a healthy, competitive environment. The unfolding dynamics between NVIDIA and its partners will be crucial in determining how the company is viewed in the tech community and by the general public. It's a pivotal moment that could define NVIDIA's future relationships and its legacy in the tech industry. NVIDIA recently became the most valuable company in the world, surpassing giants like Microsoft and Apple. This big achievement also brought attention to how NVIDIA deals with its customers and partners. Right after reaching this milestone, reports came out suggesting NVIDIA was using its power to pressure companies like Dell, HP Enterprise, and Supermicro into buying complete server rack designs from them. This move could take away the profits these companies usually make from designing their own systems, clearly benefiting NVIDIA but hurting its partners. But this wasn't the worst part. NVIDIA's tactics are not new. The company has a history of trying to control collaborations to maximize its profits. For example, the GPU manufacturer EVGA recently left the business, with many thinking that NVIDIA's dominance and financial pressure played a big role in their decision. When asked about these aggressive strategies, NVIDIA's responses have often been dismissive, suggesting they are not interested in changing their business practices despite the strain on partnerships. This approach might seem logical from NVIDIA's perspective, maximizing profits from every angle. But it raises serious questions about the long-term health of these relationships. If NVIDIA continues on this path, it could lead to fewer and weaker partnerships, potentially isolating the company in the industry. Moreover, NVIDIA's strategy could have wider effects on the tech ecosystem. There's concern that NVIDIA's dominance in unilateral decisions could stifle innovation, as partners might be discouraged from developing their own solutions, leading to less diversity in technology. This situation highlights the delicate balance between being a market leader and acting responsibly to support a competitive and healthy tech environment. The dynamics of NVIDIA's relationships with its partners are more crucial than ever. The tech community and the public are watching closely to see if NVIDIA will change its strategies to support better business practices or continue in a direction that could lead to more isolation and criticism within the industry. But this wasn't the only challenge. Those within NVIDIA have openly acknowledged the difficulties of working with the company. The sentiment that the better NVIDIA does, the more difficult they are to work with, is common in many discussions about the company. NVIDIA's stance seems to be that partners must follow their rules strictly to do business. This hardline approach is partly because NVIDIA faces little real competition, giving them a lot of bargaining power in negotiations with partners. Historically, NVIDIA has controlled even the small details of partner operations, from how partners design their products to specifics like packaging art, a level of control that has been controversial. Such dominance was notably evident in Project Greenlight, where NVIDIA dictated how its board partners could build and validate their cards. This level of control, while good for NVIDIA's interests, often puts partners in tough spots, limiting their ability to innovate and stand out in the market. As NVIDIA continues its path as a market leader, the broader effects of its business practices will likely shape its relationships, reputation, and role in the future of the technology sector. Whether NVIDIA can balance its ambitions with the needs and health of its industry ecosystem remains a key question for the future. Moving forward, we look at how NVIDIA's choices influence the broader tech landscape, a defiance of NVIDIA's market control. The situation with NVIDIA and the Framework 16 equipped with an AMD GPU tells an interesting story about industry dynamics and corporate strategies. Framework is known for its discretion, keeping secrets even from media members and investors like me. This kind of confidentiality is important, especially in a field where non-disclosure agreements are common, and I appreciate their professionalism. NVIDIA's approach doesn't always prioritize what's best for the consumer in terms of repairability or sustainability. For example, they might not care if a design allows for easier swaps of parts like a GPU memory die, which could make repairs simpler and more eco-friendly. Instead, their focus is on how these parts fit within their controlled ecosystem. But this wasn't the only challenge. NVIDIA has been pushing away from the MXM, Mobile PCI Express module, standard used by companies like Clevo for powerful laptops. The MXM standard allows for customization and repairability, but NVIDIA's move away from it fits their narrative of streamlining and standardizing hardware under their brand. In this light, Framework's choice of an AMD GPU likely comes from the flexibility AMD offers. AMD does not impose the same strict form factor standards as NVIDIA, making them a better partner for a company wanting to innovate in design and user repairability. The implications of NVIDIA's strategy are significant. On one hand, it helps them maintain quality and uniformity across products. On the other, it stifles innovation from partners who might want to explore different ways to meet consumer needs, especially in terms of sustainability and repairability. When Framework announced they were developing a gaming laptop, many wondered how they would handle GPUs, given the industry's strict standards. Framework's decision to use an AMD GPU instead of one from NVIDIA reveals bigger trends in the tech industry that are worth examining. NVIDIA is known for its tight control over partnerships, often requiring partners to follow their standards closely. This can limit the ability of partners to innovate and try new designs. On the other hand, AMD appears more open to working with partners who want to experiment and push boundaries. This flexibility makes AMD a more attractive partner for companies like Framework that value innovation and adaptability in their products. Also, NVIDIA's tight control can feel like running a strict ship where any deviation is discouraged. This isn't just about keeping quality high, it's also about maintaining a strong grip on the market and directing product development. For a company like Framework, which values repairability and modularity, working with NVIDIA's rigid design rules could clash with their core values. Framework's choice to partner with AMD likely stems from a desire to stay true to their design philosophy without compromise. AMD's more flexible approach seems to align better with Framework's goals of creating user-friendly, serviceable products. Meanwhile, NVIDIA's partners often have to navigate a complex relationship where stepping out of line can have serious consequences. But this wasn't the only part. The broader impact of these dynamics goes beyond just Framework and NVIDIA. It affects the whole tech industry. NVIDIA's approach, while maintaining high standards and uniformity, might not always support technological diversity and innovation. It's important to have a balance between corporate control and creative freedom to foster a healthy, competitive environment. Talking about these practices openly can raise some eyebrows or cause tension within companies like NVIDIA. But it's crucial for creating a transparent dialogue about how corporate decisions impact both products and the tech landscape. Whether NVIDIA likes this candidness or not, it highlights the need for balance between strict control and allowing innovation. What do you think? Would the tech industry benefit from a hypothetical NVIDIA-AMD merger, or would it stifle innovation? Leave your comments below and don't forget to subscribe for more.